Bitcoin looks set to bottom approaching 33k. Sound crazy low? I assure you it's not, and here's why. Well, firstly, as traders and investors, we're trying to figure out where Bitcoin will bottom, and we can look at the TA, the basic trend-based signals we get. Obviously, right now we have lower lows followed by lower highs. We're in a downtrend, of course. So there's multiple things we're looking at for a reversal. We're looking for bottoming patterns, consolidation, and then breakouts to the upside. We haven't seen that yet, of course, but we're also looking at the realized price and other indicators and moving averages, which historically have given us signals for a bottom or a reversal. And considering Bitcoin is still within its 4-year cycle, 2022 was a bear market, 2026 has been a bear market, nothing has changed there. We can look at some of these charts and the patterns we've seen historically as very good indicators. So firstly, here, back in 2018, the price action had all of this lovely run up. We had a bull run, and then we entered a downtrend, a bear market, and then you'll notice that we did not bounce off the realized price. We moved below it before then bottoming out at around 3k, and then finally breaking back above the realized price, which kicked off the next bull run. Now, this, of course, was the pandemic crash, so we can kind of ignore that, which is a bit of a black swan. But if we look at this move here, we had about a 34% move below the realized price before Bitcoin bottomed and then entered a new bull run. Now, of course, this was quite a short-lived bear market. Things were very, very bullish back then for Bitcoin. And of course, here we are again. This was 2021. This was the second peak of the bull run from that cycle, and we had a nice move back down, break below the realized price, and again here we have a move essentially between 30 and 40%, again about 34%, very, very specific. There you go, about 34%, and now here we are again, the 2026 bear market, and look, we are still above the realized price. And this red box indicates a retrace of about 34% below the realized price before we bottom. Now, I have been talking about 49k for a long time with Bitcoin, this sort of area as a reversal point. And you'll see here, of course, if we track a 34% move down, it takes us all the way into this box at around 35, 36k. There's your reversal zone. That's what we need to see. And until we see that, we have to presume more downside for Bitcoin. And therefore, you and the smart money have an insight that other people do not. Because a lot of people will look at the media as an indication of when we should be entering, or MicroStrategy and so forth as when we should be entering Bitcoin. But we are looking for TA, we are looking at trend-based confirmation and historical patterns and using those two things in confluence with other similar long-term charts to find the reversal. And it's undeniable that we have previously always dipped below the realized price before bottoming. And there's no reason to think we won't see that again for Bitcoin this time. So we have a potential move not just down to 49k, but even lower potentially to approaching 35, 36k, that sort of area. And obviously where that occurs is going to be very contingent on macroeconomic conditions. Of course, see here, we did have that Black Swan event in March 2020. I watched that myself happen in real time. But expectations, of course, for Bitcoin are that we are going to have a significant reset like this. And we should be eyeing potentially as low as 33k, which would be a 37% move below the realized price as the potential floor for this bottom. And you'll also notice, of course, that we have quite nice confluence here as well on this area. So that's Bitcoin, that's the realized price, those are the historical patterns. And if you're thinking now's a good time to enter Bitcoin, well, think again. But at the back end of the year, once Bitcoin breaks below the realized price and starts approaching these levels, starting at around 36k, potentially bottoming out at 33k, then there's your signal for long-term positioning. And that looks like it could start to happen in the final quarter of this year. But that's Bitcoin.